Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Ears to the East. Not just any Ears to the East, but the 100th episode of Ears to the East. Oh my God. And to celebrate it, our favorite bands have given us so much news to talk about, which we're going to be diving into today. And I thought we'd take this fantastic opportunity because of the fact that we have got to 100 videos and actually nearly a year to the day since we first started posting. And yet, despite the amazing 390 odd people who've subscribed, we still get thousands of views and people don't always subscribe. And we think that maybe because we don't stick buttons in front of you, that maybe we're not making it clear enough. So we're just going to do what we don't usually do and just say, please subscribe over and over again. And what a fantastic, to get all those clicks in, we're going to get all those clicks by talking about this fantastic subject, which is BAND-MAID collaborating with The Warning.
Wait, Howard, didn't we talk about this a couple of months ago? Didn't we predict this?
We may have previously done a video about BAND-MAID collaborations.
Somebody needs to give us a job at the higher ups. They're obviously watching the podcast, man. They're obviously watching the podcast when we were dreaming of dream collabs and shows and stuff we'd like to see. And we were actually talking about BAND-MAID and The Warning.
But we said this was the most likely one. Everyone's seen the photographs of the bands together. Everyone knows that they're friends. But okay, so I mean, I will point out, so what we know, I'll just quickly read off the poster. So the poster, they're playing in Roppongi. But anyway, they're playing a show together. It's going to be on June the 12th, obviously, therefore, in Japan, in Tokyo. So it's just an announcement of the show. But of course, BAND-MAID were talking about how they're going to be doing collaboration music. So Mies is thinking that either they've recorded a song that they're going to premiere there, or they're actually going to record the song while The Warning are in Tokyo. But either way, I think that show, they're probably going to premiere a joint song.
Yeah, I imagine so. You don't announce something like that. The Warning is not so left field. I feel like anybody who's been a fan of BAND-MAID probably could see that, again, one of the most likely scenarios that were probably going to happen. But yeah, you don't take The Warning to Japan unless you're doing something, I feel like. So I definitely think there's probably a song or something in the work or a collab, which would be absolutely fantastic.
Well, I mean, my feeling is let's face it, it's not like they're just going to sort of meet up and then put something together. I mean, the fact they're doing this show, they've got to be premiering a song. I mean, it might come out beforehand, but I've got to, they've got to be either premiering a song or giving it its first live play, which means whether they've recorded it or not, they've clearly written something together. I know we have no proof of this, but it seems to me they must have already written a song together.
I mean, our predictions have been all right so far. So
we are truly musical oracles. Between us both, our powers come together, and that is another reason why you should subscribe to Ears to the East for accurate fortune telling.
Exactly. While we're on the subject as well, like I said, it's been an absolutely amazing year, absolutely amazing 100 episodes as well, which is crazy. So for all our loyal fans and stuff like that, like I said, it's been a year, and although the views have been great, the community's been great, we would like to bump those subscriber numbers up a little bit. So make sure to share, tell your friends about Ears to the East, maybe share our videos in some communities and stuff like that. We're asking for the community to help.
Or The Warning won't come to Japan.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Do we have the power to stop that?
No, I mean,
yes, we do.
We're oracles. What we predict comes true. So I sense that if people do not subscribe to this channel, where we never ask people to subscribe, if people don't do it now, then maybe The Warning won't come to Japan, and there won't be a collaboration, which I know a lot of people are really excited about.
Yes, no, I totally see it. I probably agree with you, actually. The way I see it probably panning out is they will probably release something probably maybe a week, 2 weeks, possibly even 3, around about that time before the show. And that will get people through the door. That will hype the show up itself, probably to see them two bands collab. Or they might just keep it completely secret and record something behind closed doors where
they'll never release it.
And never release it. But sell it on a Blu-ray DVD or something. I don't know.
They'll just put out like a message going, yeah, we recorded a song together. We decided to never release it. Yeah. Imagine how angry not angry, but how like desperate fans would be to get that. This is an interesting thing, isn't it? It's like bands that used to be a thing where you'd find there'd be like recordings bands have made, which would be like hidden, and you wouldn't find them till years later. But I get the feeling with bands now, partly because studios are very much on a budget. It's like the record company checks them into a studio for a certain period of time to do their songs and everything.
Yeah.
It's like there never seems to be so many of those songs left on the cutting room floor. Everything's shifted into a special edition or something. So I think it's
Yeah, I
harder to find
suppose.
those rare songs where they go, oh, this one was never released.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the music landscape now, with like again, I think it's just a trade-off for today's access to music. Again, so everything's so
Yeah.
accessible now that if you want to hear something, 9 times out of 10 you can hear it on Spotify or on the internet or anything like that. Yeah, just throw it on there, and it's all about traction these days, isn't it? Keeping people hooked, the
That's
momentum.
a that's actually an interesting point, right? Because considering you were mentioning about Spotify, I've never actually checked this. And before anyone says it, I know this is not like some definitive figure, and this isn't like, oh, this doesn't tell you everything you need to know. But I'm just checking now. Do you know which band has more monthly listeners on Spotify? Do you think it's BAND-MAID or The Warning? I'm literally just
I,
finding out
I
myself.
I would, off the top of my head, I would predict the warning.
It's not even close. So you say The Warning,
Mm.
and how many times more listeners do you think they have?
Um,
According to Spotify, before anyone gets
according to
angry.
Spotify, I was going to say probably about 4 times more.
Damn, you're good at this. Oh, you really are an oracle. It's not 4 times, but it's really close. So BAND-MAID 230,000.
Right. That seems incredibly low though. Like when I think of BAND-MAID, I think the thing with BAND-MAID is though, and I'm guilty of this myself. I feel like BAND-MAID's more of a YouTube
Well,
personality.
I am gonna just give you the other figure then
Go
before
on.
830,000 for The Warning. But
Damn, I was pretty spot on. Holy shit.
I mean, you really were. I do get this whole thing, the 90,000 now is still far away. I still get this thing that, like, obviously in different areas, Spotify usage is different. So maybe is it Mexico The Warning are from? Maybe Spotify
Yeah.
is more common. But Spotify is used a lot in Japan. And even if it was like half as many people like use it in Japan,
Yeah.
that
Well,
would
like I said,
still
the way that I worked it out personally was obviously the warning. Obviously, I know they're from Mexico, but they're going to have obviously the America, both northern and southern
Oh,
on their sides. And then obviously
yeah.
the size of Japan, as popular, even as popular as BAND-MAID are, probably not going to get as many listens as what the warning would do.
Well, this is the interesting thing is that BAND-MAID obviously are popular in Japan, but relatively, we've mentioned this before, they have a relative higher popularity in the rest of the world, compared to other groups. They've got like their fame seems to be working more overseas. So they're a bit of a hard one to judge. I do think it's worth pointing out that, obviously in Japan, there's things like Line Music, obviously a lot of iPhones in Japan, so there's a lot of Apple Music users. But so that would probably increase the chance that Spotify listens are a little bit lower in Japan, but I think as a general, Japan's a culture where people are listening to music all the time anyway. So I don't know. I think it usually plays out relatively well. But I just did not
Well,
realize the warning
CDs
was
and all that
that
are still
popular now.
quite, yeah, CDs and all that are still quite prominent in Japan. Probably one of the few countries in the world that there's still quite a big CD market, and a little bit behind the times in that sense, I think. West I feel
Ahead
like
of the quality.
yeah, and probably for the rest of the world, obviously, yeah, everybody's. I don't think I haven't. I mean, I could say for me personally, even though I still buy CDs, I haven't used a CD in probably about 10 odd years now.
Well, I had like so one of the followers of my channel was like a good guy. I've known him for years through the channel. He was visiting in Japan, and I saw him like the other day. And of course, like the new Scandal album came out on the day of we're recording this right now.
Mm.
And as a result, he was sort of saying, "Well, look, this is my last day in Japan. I want to buy the album." And he asked me, I was like, where's the CD shop we can get CDs? And I was thinking, well, obviously you've got Book Off, but Book Off's huge, they're everywhere, but they're secondhand CDs. I was thinking new CDs, you've got rental shops like Titire and JL, but like the only one I could think of that's readily available that sells new CDs is Tower Records, because like HMV's gone and everything now.
Yeah.
Even here. And it suddenly occurred to me, it's like, well, Tower Records really is the only remaining physical CD shop. And then it kind of occurred to me as well that the whole thing in Japan really, I mean, CD sales have been dropping in Japan as with everywhere else. But the thing is it's become very much like when you buy a CD, it's become a piece of merchandise in of itself. You know, you buy the CD as the merchandise. So you have a physical copy locked up in your house somewhere. Yeah, I don't think most people here even listen to the CDs. Obviously some of them do, but most of them don't. I think they just buy it because they want that, and it's a merchandise thing. It's say I own a copy of the song because that in itself has a great value. So I physically own a copy of the song. So I
mean,
think yeah,
a little bit off topic here,
summer.
but I feel like that will be more prominent in probably about 10, maybe 20 years or so. I mean, look at vinyl records now. Like, it's cool to kind of own a vinyl record. And vinyl records have seen like a massive freaking uprise over the last like couple of
But
years of
that's
popularity.
kind of had its hump though, isn't it? I think that kind of hipster things ended, and then they're like cassettes had a little bit of a hump as well. And I think even
Yeah, but I think what will make CDs maybe a slight bit more different is
they're
like
good.
throughout the other generations, you've always had physical media. But the problem with CDs is there's no physical media after CDs. It's all
Yeah.
digital. It's all online. I mean, again, a little bit off subject here, but there's a thing going on with PlayStation at the minute where, you know, if you bought your games digitally over the last like 10 odd years, you're because the licenses and stuff expires for like certain games and stuff, like you can't access those games again, even though you bought them.
Oh shit.
And that's a whole thing going on right now. And I'm just thinking in 10 odd years' time, would you still have access to like these bandmade albums or stuff like that you bought, or would you know?
But
Is there a possibility that you have them taken away? Because you don't physically own, you own the license to that to whatever song you buy it off of a digital store. You don't own
but
that
this is
album.
I know this is probably a little bit more obscure, but we I think it was on News to the East, we discussed this a few months ago, that there was like, so with Puffy, who are like a really well-known older Japanese band,
Mm.
I kind of like, they were one of the first Japanese bands I really grew up with, and I have a lot of their CDs, but a lot of their CDs I have in storage
Yeah.
because they're in the UK at the place I used to live, because of the fact that it's like it just wasn't worth me bringing the hulking weight of my CD collection to Japan. And my old housemate was like, yeah, just pop them in the house, we'll keep them in the house. So I didn't bring them with me. And I was like, at the time, one of the main reasons I was thinking, well, you know, I'm in Japan, I'll just like listen on like Spotify and stuff. I'll be able to stream these things anyway. Um, but then recently, the copyright on a lot of Puffy's songs went into dispute through Sony, because they had like an international distribution thing, which means now if you load up some of their albums, like you get like half the album, like some of the songs you can play, some of the songs literally will not play. They're just grayed out because they can't be on Spotify because of copyright disputes. Now, I'm not saying that that's likely to happen with BAND-MAID, but considering BAND-MAID have been through so many different record companies, and of course they have these things like, yeah, they've gone through people like Revolver, JPU,
Pony
great
Canyon
company, but
now.
they've been through them.
Yeah.
Pony Canyon, obviously back in the day, they were with all, you know, kinds of different arrangements and things. It's entirely possible. Well, again, I think it's very unlikely, but it's not. Let's put it this way, it's not impossible that you could end up with a similar situation in the future with like, and I'm just using BAND-MAID as an example before someone
Yeah, like I
starts
said,
like,
it'll be many years until that comes to a head, I think. But going back to what my original point was, that's why I think CDs will always be popular compared to like the other physical medias, because they are the last physical media, really, in a digital age now. So I feel like
they're the last exclusive physical media. I mean, you've
yeah.
got like USBs and stuff, but they can just hold anything. And CD can hold everything, but obviously you buy a CD, it's like, it's not a CDR, it's actually a, yeah.
Yeah, it's the last form of like official merchandise. I feel like you
Yeah.
can help to support your bands and stuff like that. And although it's not as popular maybe as it was, and probably will continue to decline for some time, I probably imagine. I'd like to think that CDs will never really go away.
I don't think they will in Japan, but I
Mm.
think buying a CD is going to be, I think it's going to be exactly what you and I were saying. It's going to be a case of buying like an assured copy. I've heard this a lot about like, so as you know, I probably shouldn't get too far into this one, but obviously there was that whole controversy about on streaming services, a lot of movies and stuff have been changed and
Mm.
edited over time. And people saying, well, you can't have the original copy of the movie anymore. And so people are now becoming very cautious to hold on to original like DVDs and Blu-rays of movies because
Yeah,
they're like, well,
we're looking at you, George Lucas.
Well, it's like no one's looking at his movie because the original copies don't exist. But it's like he's changed them like a million times. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing is that this is I think what CDs become is that not only is it in Japan, like I want to physically, yeah, as a piece of merchandise, own a recording of the song. Whether I listen to it like that, that's what the merchandise is.
Mm.
I think the secondary value is yes, people will want the assurance of knowing that no one's going to take this away later on. I did not know about that station thing. That's fucked up.
Yeah, yeah, that's what's going on at the minute. There's a whole thing with digital media. I mean, look at Crunchyroll as well. Crunchyroll got bought out. I think they sold to somebody else, and people have
Didn't we
bought.
do an episode about that?
Yeah, we did, yeah, we did. And like I said, people have bought animes. Just to clarify, people have bought like anime series and shows and stuff, and now that their digital history is just getting wiped because the new buyer don't hold their licenses to the content that you bought from Crunchyroll. So it's all a bit like tits up at the minute. So it hasn't quite affected music yet, but
I
I,
think
I, I
it
think
has in some
it's
places,
I
but
think it will more prominently, but I don't think it will more prominently for like 10 years from now. When,
yeah.
like I said, when licenses and record companies and stuff go under and or cease to exist or get bought out and merged with other companies, that's when licenses and issues and copyright and all that will be a bit squiffy. But that won't happen for some time. I'm glad to see that BAND-MAID though have announced like a little mini tour in Japan as well. The whole tour, I think they're calling it, which is pretty
I
cool.
read about that. I'll be honest, I didn't go into that in as much detail, so I should probably check that. But I saw something about the hall tour.
The whole
You get
tour, yeah.
some bands do these hall tours,
Hmm.
um, which is basically like it's kind of a lot like for anyone who knows, you go to places like Zep Shinjuku, those kind of venues that
Yeah.
are big. They're bigger than a live house, but they're not like a stadium or an arena or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's that kind of thing. So it's just I'm just going on Bandmaid's
Yeah,
official website.
there's a few dates, I think.
I like that when you open Bandmaid's official website, it just makes you wait for the logo to appear. Like, wait, peasant, you are going to see special things. You can be patient.
I'm kind of optimistic though, because I'm hoping this tour with obviously the warning stuff that they're doing in Japan. There's a
I don't
lovely
think they're
little
touring with them.
no, not touring, but I meant like they're doing the whole tour. Plus obviously the stuff with the warning in Japan. And I said
Oh, okay. Yeah.
there's a lovely free bit of time after that. And I tell you what, if they fucking announce US again.
Well, I mean, just looking through here. So, what it says on their website right now, reading it, is it says that the hall tour is Nagoya City, June 28th, Osaka, July 5th, and then Kanagawa, July 14th. So, I'm assuming that therefore that's not inclusive. Let me just double check the date of the warning one. The warning show will be, it's also July 12th. Okay, so they're doing
So it is mixing in with that. That's what I thought they would be doing.
yeah, it's 2 days before the Kanagawa one. Obviously, Kanagawa is not very far, but it's an interesting point because I don't know whether that's officially part of this tour and they just haven't updated their website yet, or whether it's considered separate from the tour. I'm assuming it's considered separate from the tour, so it's like a
separate from the
two-man
tour.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it like the way that it's scheduled in, it's very much part of the tour. Let's be honest, even if it's not in an official capacity.
From every logistical, sensible, like
Yeah, in every sense, it's in the part of the tour. But
but very
yeah,
different
there's a lovely little gap after that now where they're not doing anything, and I'm like, come on, European tour, announce it already.
Yeah, we've been back and forth on this. I like. Do you know what? This is funny. This is our 100th episode, and all we're doing is talking about things that we've talked about in previous episodes. Like Crunchyroll, talking about it. BAND-MAID collabs, talking about it. BAND-MAID going to Europe, talking about it. We are covering, physical media, talking about it. We are doing like our little best of moment here. But yeah,
I was
I really.
I was
really
gutted as
can't.
well though, because guess who just announced on a European tour, and I fucking can't go to it because
Go on.
they're literally in London like a week before Love Bites. Atarashi Gakko, they're doing one show in London, and literally, I like
I
for me
read
to get
that.
to
Yeah, I read that.
London, it's fucking expensive. Like it is
Yeah.
expensive, and they announced that date like literally the same week almost as Love Bites, and I was like, I can't do both.
But
uh,
let's be honest.
and I
Of
like
the two,
Atarashi Gakko, but if you're up against
of the
Love Bites, you're gonna lose.
yeah, of the two, you'd be more upset if it was the other way around, and
I'd
if
be
you'd
way
like
more
missed
upset if it
on
was the other way around. Yeah.
because not only is like Love Bites like that extra thing with Love Bites being really your style of music, it's also the fact that Love Bites are playing in like that once in a lifetime tiny venue.
Tiny fucking venue. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna be
like
breathing the same air as Miyako. I don't care how
all right,
creepy
all
that
right.
sounds.
I was gonna say I was gonna say how cool it is, and then you said it like that. I was like, oh, it's taken on this whole another creepy aspect now.
I know. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for that. And you know, I just want BAND-MAID to be in Europe already. They're taking a piss. They're taking a piss, going back to the US all the time.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know we've talked about this one before, but I am just like, sometimes you sort of read things like that and you're just like, come on, you just hop on a plane, go to, because you know what, they could, I've said it before, but they could fill like a really big venue just somewhere, like do one in the UK, do one in like, you know, maybe do one in Germany or somewhere near to the Germany, France sort of like
Yeah.
border. Do one in Luxembourg. I don't know, just somewhere where you can get people will travel to, because people will travel to BAND-MAID. It's like their first European show in like
Yeah, in
years.
years, in
People
ages.
will travel. I mean, you've got so many people like traveling to Japan to see BAND-MAID. I'm pretty sure people will go across like the European borders to get to BAND-MAID. Yeah,
Yeah, for
where
sure.
free travel exists.
While we're still talking about BAND-MAID, I know we touched about this before we pressed the record button as well. But what do you think of BAND-MAID releasing their like live videos all the time? On like,
Put me on the spot, why don't you?
yeah. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think when like so we were talking about like how we monitor like what's coming out, and yeah, sometimes it can be a little bit when you keep on getting notifications that a band has a new video coming out, and of course it's like it's a live video, it's cool, but it's not so useful when like you like as a reactor you're looking for things to react to, and obviously
I mean,
you could just
I could do what other channels do and react to the same song 50 times, but I refuse to do that.
yeah, exactly. You know, it's like you know full well that there's probably not going to be much for you to add beyond like, oh, that was done differently. But I gotta be honest that in this particular instance, I first of all, what they're doing is they're doing it to hype the Yokohama Arena live show video, which I get. Having been at on the online premiere of a couple of the videos, and obviously having actually been at the show live, I do respect that it does seem they've done a really good job of capturing the atmosphere and the feeling of the show, which is great. But for me, like obviously, there's not really a huge amount of point watching them twofold. First of all, is obviously because of the fact that, you know, sounds such like a flex, but I was already there. So it's like,
Oh,
but I know like a lot of people would be like, oh, but you can like be there again. But it's I think as anyone knows, when you're actually at a gig, especially a gig where there's a very special feeling, watching it back afterwards and watching the directed thing from all of the cameras, it doesn't feel like the same thing. It really doesn't. I mean, it's great that people get to share in it from that perspective, but if you already have your memory, like you have a very personal memory of what it was like to be in the room, of like where you were standing, of how it felt, if that memory is in your head, then there's nothing that any director can show you which is ever going to come close. If anything, it's just going to water down your memory. So for me, I really believe that if I went to see a show, I'm not so interested in seeing a directed live cut of it because it waters down the very real memory I already have. But
yeah.
on the other hand, if I hadn't been, yeah, I'd be pretty stoked for them. But I am glad that BAND-MAID are making the wise decision of like doing them kind of all now leading up to what we know is the release of a live thing. And I also really like the fact that they're actually announcing a lot of them as like BAND-MAID question mark live, and then when it goes live everyone gets to see what it is. That's a nice little YouTube tactic in of itself. I'm glad to see them using a little bit of playful tactics and releasing. So yeah, I think, and I should point out again, as I said, from a technical perspective, I think that they look really well directed. The sound seems to be really good as well. So I'd say, as an actual live video, they're amongst like they look amongst the best live videos I've ever seen. They look really well made. It's just for me, I kind of I don't know. I'm happy just sort of keeping my own little memory and that little moment.
I hope if our predictions are correct, which you know, we've had 100% prediction rate so far on the channel. That there is a BAND-MAID warning, something in the pipeworks. I hope now.
Oh, there's got to be.
There's got to be. We hope now that I wouldn't mind even a little bit of radio silence for the next couple of months, and then just drop the official warning / BAND-MAID music video.
Okay. Here's my question to you.
Yeah, well.
I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask this question whilst I'm going around getting more coffee, because I realize the jug's back there. So I'm going to be talking whilst walking, but hopefully you can hear me. So my question is that, considering this is going to be a collaboration, and of course we did a video previously asking about the collaborations that we wanted to see. And the big sticking issue when we were talking about that was, when you jam two artists together, it's not a case of what do they both do, it's what do they both give up. Because, you know, like, you can't have two, you can have two bassists, but you kind of can't. And there's only so many, you can have two drummers, but you kind of can't. There's only so much you can really do. How do you see The Warning and BAND-MAID playing together, especially considering, obviously, BAND-MAID are a 5-piece, The Warning are a 3-piece, which means that there might be different emphasis.
I can see that. I feel like there's 2, maybe 3 possible ways of tackling this. The first way I see is pretty much what referencing the Baby Metal F-Hero one that's just come out.
I knew that was going to be the first thing
where,
you said. Yeah,
where 3 bands kind of come in with distinct different styles, but they all kind of collaborate and come together. They all sacrifice a little bit of something, but they give a little bit of something to make a good song. Which I really, really like. Obviously, you know, with that, in that situation, F-Hero is not really metal. Body Slam, I'm going to check out lots of Body Slam, by the way. But I've been told they're kind of like more like soft rock, not really metal themselves.
They're not really a metal band.
Yeah.
No.
So probably the person that probably benefited from this the most was probably Baby Metal. But then Baby Metal took a bit of a back step, more dancing. Body Slam got quite a bit of time. Obviously, F-Hero managed to get the hook in as well. So there was a lot. It was.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you regard as the hook, but yeah, he didn't have the chorus, but he did have the one, the title line.
Yeah, I think Baby Metal had the chorus for that song, had the kind of like channel. I think Baby Metal,
they had 2 and Body Slam had 1. Yeah,
so like, you know, each act kind of gave a little something away to incorporate a really, really good song. And I feel like with BAND-MAID and The Warning, I feel like they could come together to make something. You know, they could sacrifice a little bit of each, but give a little bit of something as well to make a really, really good song. The other way that I see this going is kind of the way that I hope it is. Maybe I'm being a little bit unrealistic here. But I would very much like a BAND-MAID kind of like versus The Warning track. So you don't
interesting.
So you keep the girls as it is. You have BAND-MAID do the entrance, and then maybe you have, like, you know, the like Warning,
back and forth.
The backwards and forwards. So you don't lose anything from both bands. Both bands are still. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, like I said, you know, hey, if Aerosmith can fucking do it, then, you know, these girls can do it. That's all I'm going to say. And have a little bit of backwards and forwards. So both bands stay the same, but maybe that would lead to a little bit of a conjolted song.
I mean, obviously, the biggest issue with that is who gets the chorus.
Who gets the chorus? Yeah.
I actually, can I just say, though, I think that's a really fantastic idea. Again, depends on how you sort of will it out. The reason is, though, I want to come back slightly to, when talking about this BAND-MAID Warning collaboration, I want to slightly reference what you said about the F-Hero Baby Metal one, because the really good point there, and this is what I covered in my reviews, I thought the way that everything was shared out was so well done. So in other words, if you look at vocals, Baby Metal get the vast majority of the vocals, hands down. But, you know, that's fine because they are essentially a vocal only group. Body Slam are doing, as far as we can see, all the instrumental, and as a result, vocally, their vocal parts, they still get a whole chorus vocally, but they're mostly doing the underlying stuff. And F Hero is the title artist. He gets the first verse. He's the first person in. And he gets the like you say, the chorus, not the chorus melody, but the chorus tag. But the hook. But the interesting thing is that he has the least vocal time. He just gets his little moments of drama, which is very well done and restrained. So realistically, everyone gets a good balance. The reason that doesn't work for The Warning and BAND-MAID is because, you know, the whole thing there is that baby metal, it was girl group, rapper, band. It was like, it was so different that, you know, they were like Tetris pieces falling down, that, you know, they had spaces for the others to fill in.
I reckon that is, for me, so much harder than what I think BAND-MAID and The Warning could do. You know,
and by the way, can I just say that we also did a video about that song? So yeah.
Go and watch it. Subscribe. That's another reason to go and subscribe to the channel.
I think that there's more room to fuck up what they did if you are careless, but there's also more room to get it right if you know what you're doing, which is what clearly happened with Leave It All Behind. But when it comes to like getting two fully fledged bands of similar genre and putting them together, I think there's just less room to get it right or wrong. I mean, you're probably going to get something good.
Yeah.
But there's also less room to extract potential from both, because they're both kind of doing the same thing at the same time. So I really like your idea of like a to and throw, like call and answer.
The third option, so before we run out of time, sorry, the third option I was going to say is you do something completely unexpected. Like maybe it's just a guitarist and just Psyche and Danny on singing, and that's it. It's just a really, really chill song, or it's a different song, or it's like, it could be a fucking ballad for all we fucking know. You do something completely unexpected, like left field, that surprises everybody, and then go, oh, this is really unique. Not something we'd listen to normally, but because it's done by two favorite artists.
Do you know, actually, I think you're making some really good points here. And actually, what I perhaps imagine, I mean, I'm imagining it like almost like a music video, like we have the F Hero one, but I imagine you'll probably get something like, you know, maybe Psyche sings the first line, and while she's singing, the guitarist from The Warning is playing. And then like maybe the singer from The Warning, who's also the guitarist, I think, maybe she sings the second line, and then Misa comes in on bass. And it's the sort of thing where it becomes like sort of left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot kind of thing.
You could do something like that. Like I'm like, what now you saying about like the music video, I got like in my head where like there's like two rooms, like you got like BAND-MAID in like a white room.
Walk this way!
Walk this way! Like the wall. And then the black room's The Warning, and the camera's just panning backwards and forwards of both bands, like, you know, rocking out, you know.
You've got to have Miku bursting through the wall. Actually, no, it's got to be Akane. It's got to be gorilla power. She just like bursts through the wall holding a banana.
Or something. I mean, like I said, there's so many different directions they could take it. I know they will sit down. They'll talk about what they want to do. They'll have the producers and stuff like that all helping them. Like,
I suspect they've already written it, to be honest.
I think they probably have. They probably really already have. I personally, I hope that we still get, you know, both bands, you know, in their prime. Hopefully the collab takes nothing away from them. I'm fairly confident that both bands are really, really good, that I don't feel like anything would be. And I'm not apprehensive. I'm generally excited at the possibility of a BAND-MAID Warning song or video, or even if it's just a, you know, a collab at the gig. Which would be disappointing, by the way, if we didn't get a song in it. They would just opening or maybe on stage for a song. I'd be a bit like, oh, come on, missed opportunity there.
I might. Someone's going to correct me as it keeps on happening, but if I remember the announcement that came up on the screen, because like I say, I'm using my memory rather than looking at the recordings of the old I think they did say that they were recording songs, they were releasing songs of our writers. I mean, once again, my feeling is that I'm excited because I love the fact that BAND-MAID do different things, and I'm always looking forward to seeing what they do next. Warning's one of those bands. I don't dislike them. They're just kind of not so much my thing. I kind of like, I've said this before, they got that thing that I don't like in the West, where a lot of the time the guitar and the bass are basically playing the same thing, which is not big, especially with a free piece. I prefer to go the Trident direction, where
they do have some really unique songs, though. I do like The Warning.
Yeah, I heard their reimagination of Enter Sandman, which I thought was really good. I've said this before, to much people's chagrin, I prefer the Warnings version to the Metallica version.
It's one of
You
one of
know,
my favorite versions for sure. One of my favorite
yeah.
covers around Sandman.
So when I'm looking at the Warning and BAND-MAID, I can't help but feel like it could be really interesting. I'm interested to hear it anyway, because why would you possibly turn down something interesting happening? But I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'll see. You know, I mean, if it turns out that I don't like it, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, why did you do that? I'll be like, oh, okay, it just wasn't for me. But I think it's one of those ones where I'll know when I hear it.
Well,
But
yeah,
for now,
when
I'm
we
just
hear
kind
it.
of interested. I guess my only thing is that because BandMaid have pushed up the idea of doing collaborations. If they end up doing like a whole album of collaborations, and you know, I kind of like, yeah, if it's like one where I'm like, oh, okay, it was all right, but I would have much rather had just another solo album. That would be disappointing. But then
I
again,
think
I
I
don't even
think
know if it will be actually. It would just be nice to have it as an interesting
yeah, I think a collab
thing.
album
Yeah.
would be all right. Like I don't mind that as a one off that you'd be like, okay, this is something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I don't mind that
As
at
an
all.
aside, I
As a
think it's
side,
just because I'm so desperate for I want the new album. I want the new
yeah,
Unseen World. Yeah, then the follow up to that. So
mm. Yeah, there's that as well. I mean, commercially as well, like collaborating with the Warning makes total sense. Like I said, the
yes.
Warning have Southern American, Northern American roots as well. Very, very popular, even in England as well, and Europe. I know a lot of Warning fans.
Really.
So yeah, so
That's brilliant.
that collaboration, I think that will benefit BandMaid more than it probably would the Warning. Although maybe it might be a good case for the Warning to like break into
But
Japan, maybe. So maybe it's
yeah,
beneficial for both.
breaking into Japan, it might not be as big as a lot of the other markets,
Mm,
but it's still a big market and it has loyalty. Like you
loyalty.
break into the Japanese market, and like long after the fickle Western markets have all forgotten about you and moved on to the next big thing, the Japanese market will be loyal because
I
that's what
know.
Japan does.
It's where
That's why we
all
buy those CDs, we keep them.
it's where all
Loyalty.
the 80 stars are now in Japan. Still going strong.
Are we doing the big in Japan jokes now? By the way, just in case anyone was wondering, this is one of my more discreet, because we've only got 2 minutes left. It's one of my more discreet band shirts. This is Sugar Spray.
Ooh,
What I love is that Sugar Spray, so one of the local bands, they gave me this and they were like testing out some t-shirt designs. They gave me this one free because they spelt their band name wrong on it. They usually write their name.
ooh.
They usually write their
That's a
name in
special
Japanese.
edition shirt. Like,
So yeah.
don't ruin that.
Oh no. Oh shit, I pulled out the headphone cable.
Yeah, no, we can see
Oh,
it.
just looking at my ass.
Hey, I'm
Just Batman butt. That's all I could see there.
mine is Korean punk today. So
18 fevers.
18 fevers.
Yeah, I don't even know. I can't even find where the Sugar Spray character is. But there you go.
It's there. There we
It's
go.
there. And I just pulled out the headphone cable again. All right. So I'm going to plug the headphones back in so I can hear what's going on.
While Howard's doing that, let me know.
We got
Let
a
us know in the
minute.
comments what
Oh,
you
you are
think of
talking.
the Warning BandMaid collab as well. Yeah, like what are you guys' thoughts? What are you guys' opinion? What would you like to see if there is a BandMaid and Warning song? And maybe even comment down below as well. Let us know what other bands you'd like to see collab with BandMaid, whether it be from
We
Japan.
already did that video.
I know, but it's YouTube interaction. Be a YouTuber for a second.
Oh no! Do you know what interaction we really want? The interaction we really want is for you to subscribe, because please subscribe. Because I think I think a lot of people who watch this channel are probably come over from my channel or your channel, and so they just, you know, YouTube recommends ears to these videos. They keep on watching them, and so they just assume they're subscribed. You're probably not, according to the stats. So drop us a subscribe. 30 seconds left though. Any other YouTuber things you want to say?
I love you.
I love you too.
I was talking to the viewers, not you.
Well, I was talking to you. And on that note, this is episode 100. And remember to keep your ears to the east. Or if you're neon, the east.
What a noob.